Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crime on the Record. I'm Jason. She's Candace. We all know that stuff. But while we were at the vet with our dog, we found out that P. Diddy has had a little housewarming party. Not a housewarming, just a house party, right? He's having a little party with the Department of Homeland Security. You don't see them hanging out with people much. I feel like when they start kicking down doors, there's a good reason for it. And what we're reading about is, of course, there's those allegations about rape and some other horrible shit that P Diddy is involved in. This one's worse because this is sex trafficking. This is no kidding. This is life in
Yeah.
prison. Do not pass go. Do not collect nothing. You're just going to prison forever. And for what I do at our financial institution, I won't say which one, but I work in the anti-money laundering area, and this is part of what we do when we do our investigations is sex trafficking, human trafficking, those sorts of things. So this isn't to be taken lightly. I mean, obviously, but this is legit. Like, I don't feel like Department of Homeland Security is going to be busting down doors unless they have a reason. So Fox 11 is live out there right now. We're about 20 minutes behind, but I am going to just go ahead and play this news video here, and we're just going to watch it because I mean they know more than we do at this point. So we'll just go ahead and get this started.
Armored gear and equipment. I don't think they're actually searching for any items that could connect to whatever the investigation is. I would venture to say that those are going to be the guys that you're seeing right there, and they're waiting for that all clear. And then this group that you see.
Okay, so what he was saying, just in case, because it didn't start right at the beginning, what he's saying is the people that you're seeing in the body armor and in the camouflage and everything, those are the guys that actually go in. They'll clear the house and make sure it's all good to go. And then these dudes in little FBI windbreaker looking jackets, those are the ones that will actually go in and conduct the search. So you got these tactical guys, they're making sure there's nothing in there that's going to hurt anybody as they're doing the search. So that's what's going on there.
See there, those are the ones that are actually going to go inside. They probably have, like you said, they probably have ideas what they're looking for, where they might be. So, but right now it is still a waiting game to make sure that everybody is out of this building and that it is secure for the investigators to make their way in and actually start that search.
And we should mention, thank you, Stu, that if this is in fact involving a sex trafficking investigation, we do know that according to Diddy's attorneys and the rapper himself, he has denied any wrongdoing in any of all this. So there are
Yeah,
two
they're
sides, of
searching
course,
his Miami
to
home at the
this
same
as this
time.
all
So
plays
yeah,
out. But it
they're
is
searching all of
interesting
them
that these raids happening at the same time, according to TMZ, a raid of his Miami home.
because baby. You said they're also in New York, right?
I read that they said he got on his private jet and went to New York and they were looking for him. Someone else posted that he's been arrested, but I don't know if that's true. So that's what I was trying to look up right now.
Okay. All right, we'll just continue to let this play. See what they say.
Home is happening right now, as well as now we're looking at the live pictures of what's going on in Holmby Hills at this mansion right here, all connected to Sean Combs. So again, until we find out further word as to what exactly they're searching for and why, we continue to look at the procedures taking place regarding this raid that's being conducted by Homeland Security. You have support from local law enforcement officials as well. We saw from the ground shots.
You know, your typing is so loud.
There. A part of all of this, and they have a number of resources on hand with a drone flying up top, as well as they had ladders taking a closer look at certain parts of the property. And so they are looking at every nook and cranny they need to in terms of why they're investigating this home and property. So clearly, this is going to take a while. And as Haley mentioned, with her shot down on the ground right there, more people are coming to your area, Haley.
You know, your typing is really loud,
it's
right?
mostly media at this point. We were the first ones here on scene, but yeah, since there's probably a dozen different media agencies, yeah, it looks like his homes on both coasts are being raided. We still have not gotten word on exactly where P. Diddy is, if he is in fact in New York right now or in Los Angeles, and of course, yeah, we haven't seen him here in Holmby Hills. This is right off of Sunset and Beverly Glen, and it all unfolded, I would say, about 30 minutes ago. They're at his home here. They're also at his home in Miami. Of course, it's a little bit calmer, I would say, than it was about 20 minutes ago when it all happened. The guns that were drawn earlier have been since put away. Looks like they just put away their drone, but of course doing a thorough job of checking the home for any kind of details that they can come up with related to these allegations against sex trafficking. As you said, Sandra, there's several lawsuits against him for these allegations, all of which he has denied. So we will have to wait and see. Of course, and everybody's interested in the details of what how he's connected.
That'd have been something.
To these latest allegations.
And from your
So
vantage
we'll bring
point,
you the very latest. I'm sorry.
yeah, from your vantage point, Haley, does it look like some authorities are leaving the scene right now? They're done, or not? Is that not the case?
No, it looks like more are coming. I think what you're seeing is just the vehicles moving to a different location. We're kind of at the bottom of the hill. But if you go up a little bit farther, some of the vehicles that you saw down here earlier have since kind of gone to the other side of the hill. This is obviously a very prestigious neighborhood. I said earlier, Humphrey Bogart's former house, I think, is next door to P. Diddy's in the 200 block here of Mapleton and Holmby Hills off of Sunset near Beverly Glen. So the vehicles have basically just moved forward. You're seeing a lot more of those law enforcement officers from the Department of Homeland Security, though, back here on the street in Mapleton since they've come out of the home after they've done their thorough investigating inside that beautiful home belonging to P. Diddy, to Sean Combs. So I don't think they have any intention, Sandra, on going anywhere anytime soon. And overhead, you can see law enforcement helicopters and, of course, Stu up there in Skyfox.
Thank you so much, Haley, for that perspective on the ground right there in front of that Holmby Hills mansion. Stu up in Skyfox, it looks like, yes, there are some more law enforcement, but in different attire. Should I say suits instead of body armor?
Definitely, and you know, and we all know how that works. The suits are going to be the investigators and probably the ones that are running the show. And again, I still think that they are just waiting for that green light for them to be allowed to make their way inside the property and to make their way to the areas that I would venture to say that they probably are pretty specific. I don't think they're just going in randomly. And again, this is just a guess. I don't think they're going in randomly, just going through, everybody's stuff inside there. They probably have an area that they know or an office that they're going to be looking into or some computers that they might want to physically get their hands on.
They're going to tear that house apart
Right now to make their way inside.
Yeah, they are.
Like you said,
yeah.
Very beautiful home out there in the Homely Hills area. And they just waiting to get.
Because, I mean, they always destroy the houses when they just do normal searches, you know what I mean? But, like, they really going to, they're going to turn that house upside down, both of them. Hell, 3 of them. I don't know how many he has.
Again, I just want to be clear. It's like nobody's thinking that there's booby traps or some kind of sniper inside the home. That's not what they're thinking at all. It's probably more along the lines of they want to make sure that everybody is outside of the home because they don't want to have somebody stepping out or coming out later on and, surprising or catching people off guard. That's not what they want. And right now you can see Sandra, you've been saying there's a large number of people out here. I would venture to say, as far as the officers go, I would probably put this group closer to 100. Not just what we're seeing right here. This is just one group of many that have made their way out here to this Holmby Hills area. And as far as the suits that we were talking,
looking at it, I was just looking it up. This is mind-boggling to me. But sex trafficking can be a sentence of up to 20 years.
First of all, that's all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I feel like if you sell a human being, you just that's death penalty. We don't need you in the world. So, but to see that he could actually get out, and I mean he's a billionaire, so the chances of him actually seeing a courtroom are slim, even on charges like this. We've talked about this, Candace and I have. If you got enough money, you can buy anything, to include freedom. So it'll be interesting to see if he actually, if he sees the inside of a courtroom or not on this. I know we're really early in that, but I don't see a billionaire walking into court.
About that's part of the group right there, but there's some other ones as well, younger ones that were basically leading the charge, and that's them right there. Actually, they perfect timing, and it looks like they're making their way over towards the home. They might be the first ones to make their way in to start that investigation process or figure out where we're going to look, what we're looking.
They ain't even been in the damn house yet.
On, the suits will make their way in.
Well, I mean, a house like that, a house that size, it's going to take a long time to clear it.
process at the very, very beginning.
I mean, because you got to go into every room, every
They moved
closet,
them
under
out
every
the
bed,
area right
just to
now.
make sure. Because you don't want to be the one guy that doesn't look in a
Say that
closet,
they are
and then
arrested.
you get
We
somebody
don't
shot
know
because
that
you
for a
didn't look.
fact. They took them
Yeah.
into custody. A few of them still had cuffs on. Some of them didn't. So maybe this was a division of, these are people that we know work here. These are people that may be associated with Sean Combs. So, or Bad Boy Entertainment. So it's one of those type of situations. And until they know who they are, they're just going to keep them in custody and possibly just let them go later on. And I don't believe the word arrested has been used out here as of yet, but again, still very active situation. And of course, that is a huge house, and they've got a lot of rooms to clear before they allow those investigators in.
Yeah, we talk about the process of bringing this many law enforcement officials to the scene to have a raid like this and conduct a raid and make entry into a Holmby Hills mansion that's owned by a prominent celebrity and their business. So clearly, this is something that doesn't happen just overnight. Law enforcement officials do have to have their evidence ready. They have to make sure every T is crossed in order to make entry into a home like this for an investigation. So when we talk about and see these kinds of raids happen or having them be conducted, it kind of shows that they do have enough evidence that.
So we're talking about them not being in the house yet. This house it's 5 bedrooms, 6 bathroom, which sounds not like a lot. It's a 3-story house. So they've got 3 stories to clear. And it's also 11,000 square feet. So it's going to take a little while just to make sure that they've cleared the house. And then I don't know what the search looks like for a house that size. And that's just one of them. But yeah, so that's why it's going to be a while before they actually get in. I mean, they may be in by now. We're about 20 minutes behind, but interested.
Their investigation
See how long it actually takes
to a certain point where they have made a search warrant and they've gotten all of the evidence they need to have a search warrant, that they have to establish that a crime was possibly committed and there's evidence of probable cause and a crime that has taken place. So all of these things, they have to meet a threshold before law enforcement can just come together like this and approach
probable cause isn't like
entry. So we're seeing that here.
It's not a lofty goal to get probable cause, though.
Miami, where they are searching Sean Combs' Miami home as well. So again, this doesn't just happen overnight. This is a process that they've been working on for quite some time to make sure that they have enough evidence to be able to conduct a raid like this, especially with so many law enforcement agents.
So the reason they need multiple houses isn't so much because they need multiple houses. I think that's really where their wealth comes in, because they're not just going to have, several $100 million in the bank here and that. So they buy houses, art, all that stuff to make their wealth, have their money there. And that's why somebody like Donald Trump, he's not a billionaire. He's fucking broke because all his money is wrapped up in all these hotels and golf courses and all that. So it's a lot like that. They have to put their money somewhere. So they just buy extravagant things.
Agencies involved, investigators involved, and you see just personnel involved on location right there. And you do see a number of people. This is going to be an active situation for quite some time. Again, we don't know what they're looking for. We don't know what the interest is right now. We can only presume that it is part of a sex trafficking investigation. Those are multiple lawsuits that Sean Combs have been facing this year alone, allegations that he denies. But clearly, this could be all part of the process here. But again, law enforcement does just not go in willy-nilly into a home and conduct a raid like this unless they get the necessary evidence they need to get that search warrant to acquire entry as well. So if we could take a look from Haley's point of view,
I mean, I know you said that about
like there are more
it's not
individuals gearing up,
a
or maybe
large
more investigators
barometer
on the
for
scene,
getting
from
a search warrant, but I mean, like
Hey,
we
family,
said,
yes, we're
he's a
actually trying to
billionaire.
get
They're not
an
just running up in
interview
his
and
house
obviously
if
live with the
Yeah,
Department of
that's
Homeland
fair.
Security. We had a lady come down
That
here
is
just
fair.
a minute ago and give her card. So trying to
So
contact.
hold on a second. I want to show this little interview. So this is P. Diddy with Justin Bieber when Justin Bieber was 15,
I
and
think so.
you see these kind of things, and it doesn't. Probably at the time it was just like, oh, it's whatever. But when you see it after something like this, it might mean a little bit. It might be different.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but
Yeah,
it's
you should be able to
definitely a
disclose.
15-year-old's dream. You know, I have been given custody of him. You know, he signed to Usher. I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you want to do? What you want to do over the next 48 hours?
48 hours. Let's go. Let's just go get some girls. Let's go hang out some girls.
They're already in the house for you, Justin.
Yo, Justin, he's in.
I mean, I don't know. You see something like that, it probably doesn't look like it's a big deal until you see something like this. I mean, let's go get some girls. He's like, well, I got 17 of them in the basement already. Let's go back to this. I'm just saying.
So we can, of course, get some official details from her, because everything that we're getting is basically behind the scenes from our law enforcement sources here. So basically, we don't have anything new yet. We're still just waiting to kind of figure out exactly what happened. We know, of course, P. Diddy's homes on both coasts have been raided. You can see some more officers coming out of his property right now. Just trying to see if I could see the lady who we're hoping to get the interview with, and she's just messaging me back, so I've got to send her an email for the request first. So we're working on that to get you some more details, but yeah, it's still very active on scene, just more and more vehicles showing up. This is largely, most of the law enforcement officers here, Sandra, are, of course, the Department of Homeland Security, and then we also have LASD and LAPD here as well. So as soon as I can get anything official on camera, we'll come back and let you know.
Definitely. I know what it's like on the ground right there. You're dealing with a lot of officials trying to get
You
some
see anything
answers,
else on
trying to
Twitter?
talk to people, and
I'm reading something right now.
Two things at once. So we will let you get to work right there on the ground. Let's go up to Stu again. As I was mentioning the procedure of this, and you've covered so many of these types of stories, you've been overhead when these raids have happened. This isn't a process that just happens overnight. Clearly, they are looking for something. They have enough evidence, and they were able to get a search warrant before they could even do or conduct a raid like this.
Oh, you definitely, Sandra, and what you're talking about really kind of shows exactly what you're trying to point out.
Diddy
That
is a
this
very
didn't just
southern
happen
word.
overnight. This wasn't just an accusation, and they came and knocked down the doors and started tearing up the house. This was something that's an ongoing investigation. Lawyers, attorneys, and district attorneys, they all have to sign off on this. They have to look this over. Judges have to make that decision as well. And nobody wants to be on the end of
I do.
wrongful,
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there was a
seizure.
bunch of stuff
So,
that was
of course,
excluded.
they needed to show evidence that there is a reason for this type of force and for these officers to make their way into this home. And then again, of course, the world we live in today, all of these officers that are showing up, they all know that, you know, everybody's under a watchful eye nowadays. So they made every effort to do this as quickly and as less destructive as possible. We watched them trying to get through one of those side gates. That pedestrian gate was giving them a little bit of an issue, but in the end, they got in there. And
you know what's kind of wild too is like, there's been the whole rape allegations against him and everything. But it's just shocking that I mean, I didn't see anything. I don't know if you saw anything, but nothing, not the smallest bit leaked about them even being, starting to put everything together to do these raids, much less just show up and do them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of surprising we didn't hear anything about it.
After that, they made their way in very quickly. We didn't see any doors being smashed or things getting kicked in. It was basically a lot of opening up and just letting that garage door, somebody got in there and they opened up that garage door, and or possibly the people inside were curious what was going on and they opened up that garage door. But again, the forceful entry part of it, it really truly was just in a little bit here in that side gate. Everything else was very quick and with etiquette.
Okay, he's saying with etiquette and everything that's only because he's a billionaire. If they would have searched our house for this shit, they would have knocked every window out, knocked every door down. They wouldn't have just knocked. I mean, that's the difference between being a billionaire and not a billionaire.
Would be the
Right.
best say it
Yeah.
actually. They went in and they just did what they needed to do. And again, the reason why they're still there, I can tell you, it's not like a television show where they're pulling out drawers and dumping out clothes and just trashing the place. They just want to make sure that there are no other people inside that building
Also, because he's a billionaire.
Mhm.
that may still be scared, hiding, or having a problem. And then as soon as that word is given, which I'm sure is going to come shortly, because we already
Right?
saw
Yeah.
a
We'd be
couple
in
of other
Gitmo
groups
already.
making their way in,
Yeah.
less armed. So they're making their way in. They're going to start looking for, and of course, even in that the warrant, they're going to have a list of things that they are able to look at, able to take. It isn't just a random search. They actually have to go in and actually find things that they believe have information or evidence that could create a guilty or innocent situation.
So this is that you saw. You were talking about this. So it's kind of hard to see because it's not that big, but that's people what in cuffs.
hmm
You know?
It looks like his sons or two of them. I don't know if they arrested them or if they
Yeah.
just detained them when they came in, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that, definitely not saying they're arrested. It's just, I mean, that kind of goes to show that they just, I mean, they did detain them to make sure, at least to make sure that they didn't get involved with the investigation or get in the way. But yeah,
it
I
kind of
mean, who
makes
knows?
me feel better too for the, Epstein people. Like I've been saying, they're not going to do anything to him, but if we didn't hear about this, maybe we're not hearing about it, an investigation they're doing there.
I mean, my thought on that is if you ever were on Epstein's plane or island, we just need to go ahead and execute you too. Because, I mean, like you're hanging out with that guy. Nah, we don't need any more of you running around either.
Right.
For Sean Combs. So at any rate, it's still very ongoing, very preliminary. But again, we do see a large
I
force
mean,
out there, which, like you're
who
trying to
knows?
say, or
Maybe.
what I believe you
I
did
mean,
say,
I just,
is that
somebody's
this
got
is
it.
a warranted search.
Somebody
And of
took over
course,
that whole thing.
they are
There's no way
here
they
and
just
they are
let that
definitely
go.
looking for
They keep saying
specific
they
pieces of
they have it. They're
information.
going to
What
release
they
it.
are,
They're
we
going to
don't
release the
know.
book.
We may
When?
never know.
Ain't nobody
But
seen no
right
names.
now, that search is definitely ongoing.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, we've covered so many of these different types of raids. Obviously, not always at a celebrity mansion like this in Holmby Hills, but clearly sometimes you see them having to forcefully enter a property and seize evidence, and it doesn't always go so smoothly. And it was, in fact, very smooth the way they gained entry into this property. And after they figured out that side entrance, they were able to make entry. But it's not like they show in the movies, as you mentioned, Stu, right? They weren't battering down doors
Again,
and
because he's a
destroying
billionaire.
property. This is very methodical, and in terms of many stories we've covered like this, it was a very easy entry, and they were able to access the property and get on site. So clearly, they're ready for anything, whatever they're going to be met with. You don't know, and that is why they make sure that they are safe in numbers, that they're armored, and that is why you see such a big force out there, because you never know what kind of emotion you're going to be met with.
Definitely, and emotion is really what plays a lot of it, and that's one of the things that we were talking about. Is right now that was the gate that where they were having all that trouble. They're actually looking at that actual door and propping it open, but that was the door that was giving them trouble. And I was trying to figure out if that is actually maybe like a private entrance for that back house. It does actually look like it. It seems like if you're staying there, that's how you get in and out without going through the actual house itself. But you can see they still have personnel there on scene. Every house, there's 3 properties that I would say on this big piece
Good
of
God,
property.
3
They all have
properties.
some
I
sort of
cannot.
somebody there,
I mean,
just making sure that there isn't anything being taken or anything moving in and out, and or another person in that area. But that main house, there's still a number of folks that like armored personnel that we've seen go in have not seen come out. But there's some of those ones that are not wearing the gear, and those are that first group that made their way in. They were here originally. They came with the armored trucks. They did not make their way into the property. They waited outside, and now they are actually making their way to that front door, which shows you that their progress is being made. And of course, we were keeping an eye on the as we call them, and it is what they are. The suits down there, I'm sure those are the ones that are pretty much running the show, or where all the evidence is going to go to in the end. They are still outside, so that shows you that they're going to be waiting. I would venture to say when they find something, those are the guys that are going to make their way in and actually looking at and taking things from this home. But right now, that's still, that process, I wouldn't even think has actually even started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And it's going to take a lot
Yeah.
of time. That is a huge mansion to begin with. And then it depends on what they're looking for. It could be as small as a hard drive.
I mean,
or
hopefully
as
he was
big
so
as
cocky about it, he
boxes
left
full of evidence
evidence
or information they're
everywhere.
trying to collect and
'Cause that would be
gather.
great.
Where all of that information is also the tricky part. I mean, think about going into a stranger's home. You don't know where they put things. And so it could be
True.
very hidden. So this whole process, it could take a lot of time in terms of them finding what they made entry for. So this is a methodical.
Yeah, so on top of the
process,
11,000
and
square
again, this
feet,
is
they got to
taking
search
place
here in
right here in
Miami.
Holmby
That
Hills,
house is
as well as this
8,000
Miami
square
home.
feet.
And I'm sure law enforcement officials from both sides in Miami and LA are certainly talking to each other as they go through this as well. But still, no sign of Sean Combs himself. We don't know where he is. It's not clear if they're looking for him. He may be in New York, as Haley was mentioning on the ground there. But clearly, this was in all a very peaceful raid as they made entry, and right now as they are making their way in and out of the property as they conduct their search. But a search that is just beginning, as you see those suits, the investigators taking their time, making sure everything is done properly and methodically in terms of what they're looking for at this point. Again, we have a lot of questions that we just don't know the answers to at this point. We do have someone on the line right now, Hal Kemper. Thank you so much for joining us. And if you can make light of what we're looking at in terms of Homeland Security making entry into the Holmby Hills mansion of Sean Combs.
Sandra, this is a Homeland Security investigations that appears to be on site. What they're probably looking for is, well, I should say in general, they look at human trafficking.
Yeah, I don't know
and,
how
sex
I was out of the
trafficking
loop
being
on
at
that.
the
I didn't
core of
realize that he
and of course,
ordered,
there's been
allegedly ordered the
some
hits
rather,
on what,
big
Biggie and
civil
Tupac?
suit stuff that's taken place, but also
I
the
know
New York
Tupac. I
case,
don't know about the other for sure.
where the statute of
I'm
Seems
limitations
like I remember them talking
basically
about it,
had
but
been rescinded, allowing them to look back many years in this case. Part of it was there have been allegations that he was drugging young women, so that there was which certainly implies that it was rape that had taken place at some point. But I think what HSI
See, and for me, rape, that should be a life sentence immediately. Like you just go to prison forever. Because there's something wrong with you. Like, and you're gonna do it again. I mean, so then I don't know. The sentencing guidelines on these things
probably
are,
looking at is
I don't like
the
I
them.
just saw
entertainment
something.
aspects of it, if there was
The
any
raid in
online
Miami.
activity
It looks like
that
some
could
of
have
them
taken
come in by
place.
boat.
I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sure he's right there on the water.
I mean, it just shows you how calculated this was too, that they hit him at the same exact time. They weren't giving him any chance to hide anything.
Yeah, it's shocking when the federal government, gets its shit together.
Right.
And that's usually where HSI would have a jurisdictional interest. Homeland Security Investigations being part of the Department of Homeland Security, looking at the interstate side, mostly online, and whatever took place across state lines. And of course, he travels all over the place. So I'm sure they're looking at him potentially transporting women around
Jesus
the country, and whether that was tied to a larger criminal activity.
Yeah, definitely Homeland Security involved in any interstate, as you mentioned, and international criminal activity here. So what exactly do you think everyone is looking for at this point? We saw such a large number of law enforcement make entry.
Well, it's a combination of both local and federal. And from what I understand, the local law enforcement has the specific lead at each one of these locations, with the federal federal investigators coming in with them in concert. And what they're probably looking for is any evidence that they can gather. Certainly any images, pictures, video, anything online. I've no doubt that they're going in and gathering up any electronic media to include any laptops, any flash drives, anything that he might have.
Yeah,
that
no, we agree with
criminal
that. There's no way they would
allegations,
raid these
whatever
houses if they didn't have
reasonable
more
suspicion that
than
they have,
just normal
that
probable
led to
cause.
this these search warrants. You know, they just to get a search warrant like this requires a you know rather you know, a certain substantial legal barrier has to be, or legal argument or legal litmus test has to be met just to get them to sign off. Particularly knowing with somebody with means like this, that if they go into their home, they're going to be met with some very capable lawyers on the defendant's part to challenge
Yeah.
what was ever done, and everything they do there is going to be challenged. So you can imagine, not only did they have to work with the district attorney and potentially assistant U.S. attorneys in arranging this, but they also are being very careful on how they're gathering any evidence, realizing that just about everything they
Yeah,
do
I'm not
on
sure.
site
We haven't seen
will
anything that
potentially
says
be
he's been
challenged in
arrested.
court by
Well, I
the
haven't. Have
attorneys.
you?
Absolutely. And speaking
No,
of
I'm
those
still
attorneys, we
looking.
did reach out for comment. We have not yet heard back.
Yeah, we saw
Obviously,
some of the
we wanna
people
hear
at
his
one of
side.
these compounds. I
For
think it's the
Sean
one in
Combs'
LA
part,
that
he
they
has
were in
denied
cuffs,
any
but it might
allegations
just be
regarding
them being
sex
detained and
trafficking
not
and any
arrested.
investigation into that. But yeah, this could take a lot of time in terms of collecting that hard drive and flash drives and any computers they may find. Like I was mentioning before, Hal, it's very difficult to know where someone would have that or would hide that if they were trying to hide evidence. And we're looking at a big mansion here. Before we get back to you, Hal, let's go to Haley on the ground there.
Hey, Sandra. Yes, we just got that statement from the Department of Homeland Security that I was trying to get for you guys about 10 minutes ago. It doesn't say a whole lot, but it says this is attributed to Homeland Security investigations. Earlier today, Homeland Security Investigations New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. We will provide further information as it becomes available. So nothing really that we haven't already told you. Here on the scene, on the ground, a lot of the
Not too much
law
new.
enforcement
No.
officers with Homeland Security have gone up the hill. You can see one of those big command vehicles coming out, one of those police vehicles. In the meantime, behind us, several of his friends, they've identified themselves as, have been trying to get through the crime scene to get to the house. But of course, LAPD not letting them through.
I'm not telling anybody I'm friends with P. Diddy right now.
If they have any more information,
I'm like,
on
who the
what's
fuck
going
lives
on,
over there? I
but
don't know
they
who
haven't
that
been
is.
able to,
No way I'm
they
saying
don't
I
want to
know this
provide us
dude.
any information, I should say. And just in case you're just joining us, we have homes of P. Diddy being raided on both coasts, Miami and his home here in Holmby Hills.
So Haley, just to clarify, in that statement, it didn't mention Sean Combs, correct? Or anything?
It doesn't, but we we have confirmation from multiple law enforcement sources that this does involve Sean Combs or P. Diddy. But no, this statement, I'll read it one more time, says earlier today, Homeland Security Investigations New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from both HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners.
All right.
We'll provide further information as it becomes available. Of course, we're trying to get them to talk to us on camera, but they said, the lady in particular who sent me the statement says she's not allowed to.
Fuck
Thank you
no.
so
That's
much.
what they
Not
said.
really clarifying a whole lot though, but clearly understandable because right now maybe they're not in position.
So I'm pretty sure it would be like, I don't know. God, I can't think of what it is. But basically, it'd be like the federal DA would do all the paperwork and everything. So kind of like the state DA, if they were going to raid a house, say when they went into Murdaugh's house, it would be the same way, just at the federal level, right? And that would make sense.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah. And remember, if you were watching this channel for the first time, my law degree, I did graduate at the top of my class from the University of Google. You guys are well aware of that. So that's where all of my legal knowledge comes in. So you're welcome. You're welcome.
And to divulge any more information. So let's bring in Hal Kemper here again from Homeland Security.
Yeah, that's what I was
Thank
thinking.
you so
That's the
much
words
for
I
your
was going for.
expertise in all
Yeah.
this. I don't know if you heard that statement, but didn't really say anything except that an investigation is underway in Miami and here. So clearly not stating who it involves or what the charges are.
It doesn't, and they might be crime scenes. I should clarify, I'm not from Homeland Security, but I work in Homeland Security, and I've worked with Homeland Security investigations
What does that
for many
mean?
years. Very familiar with not only the agency, but also a lot of the individuals, a lot of the people who work there, to include here in Los Angeles, especially. What they're probably looking at are the two residences, one in New York, one in Los Angeles. And I haven't seen the documentation, but if it doesn't name Sean Combs by name, it's probably because there's been allegations that criminal activity had taken place tied to sex trafficking at these locations. So what they're doing is they're looking at the locations themselves and investigating them as potential crime scenes. And of course, with that, I'm sure the scope is such that they can look just about anywhere, gather up any materials. They're probably gathering up any electronic materials. They're probably doing things like imaging the place, taking a lot of pictures and stuff that may be used later. Could be in reference to what witnesses say on the stand, that they may look at various pictures of the locations themselves to help refresh their memory while they're talking about various activities that may have taken place or alleged to have taken place. So there's a lot of reasons why they might not focus on him per se. Also,
Just his houses.
another thing too is
I'm sure he's not
a
connected.
large organization. The fact that they don't name him might mean that they're looking at other activities that could have taken place within his immediate, entourage or his organization that involve these properties. So one can't rule out anything at this point because we don't know a lot.
Sure. And obviously, this is just their statement to the press at this point. So what the actual legal documents say and what the statement they gave us is very, very different. Let's be clear. So we're sometimes, not privy to all of those details and information until it becomes available at a later date. But you were mentioning the whole search process. We are seeing so many law enforcement officials, investigators, and this is basically 3 properties on this entire, or 3 homes, I should say, buildings on this entire property in Holmby Hills we're talking about. How long is it going to take for them to go through it?
Yeah, I mean, if
Do they
stuff's
have a
happening at
time
his
limit?
house,
I mean,
he either knows about
essentially,
it or
some
should have.
people are going to come back into the home, right, at some point. So how does that all play out?
I'm sure if you were to ask them, they'd say it's going to take as long as it takes. These are huge properties. You can imagine looking through one home takes a lot of time, but when you have 3 very large buildings with a lot of different rooms, various different levels on those homes. Also, they're going to be looking at every nook and cranny. They'll be looking anything that's subsurface in the home. They'll be looking in basically everywhere they can. They could be using a variety of sensor systems to find out if there's any hidden compartments, safes, things like that, and walls that aren't readily apparent. There could be a lot of different things they're looking for. And they may have dogs there too, looking for various different things as well. But they're probably looking for more where stuff may be held. I would imagine with that, and of course anything tied to any of the allegations. We don't know, but certainly the fact that they're there indicates that they probably had some witnesses say that certain things happened or certain things were there when they were there. And they're probably trying to verify if those things are in fact there, if that what they were told is correct. So there's probably just a lot of things that they're working through, checking off a list of stuff. And by the way, they may be looking on the grounds themselves. There could be stuff that's not necessarily in the buildings that are on the grounds. And of course, they'd be looking at that as well. I imagine it's going to take quite some time with a property this big.
I don't imagine this is what those people that live in this neighborhood tend to come home to.
And places where
Oh, hell no. They're mad.
Thank you so much. We will have more on Fox 11 app. So forget
Like Diddy.
We'll once again.
Illegal activity is against the Homeowners Association.
This is our family farm. And our third.
All right, well, we're not watching that, but so yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. Hopefully, if he's involved in this in the slightest, hopefully he sees the inside of a prison cell, because that's where people who do anything like this deserve to be.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he'll get there or not, but you'd like to think that if they're raiding 3 different properties all at the same time, a coordinated, effort, that there's more than just maybe he's doing something wrong. But
Wouldn't
innocent
it be
until
some
proven
shit
guilty.
though? Wouldn't that be some shit though if they went in there and they didn't find anything?
I mean, I don't know. If I was a billionaire and I was doing, shit like this, whether he is or not, that's what I'm saying. But like, I wouldn't do it out of my main houses. Like, I'd have some. I'd route things through like shell corporations and make it very difficult to link back to me that these are the houses that I own and that I'm operating in. I wouldn't do it out of my my everyday house. I mean, that's just dumb. But if it is true, if all this stuff is true about him, I mean, that's how billionaires operate, though. I'm above the law. I can do whatever I want. Nobody's ever going to catch me. And even if they do, I'll buy my way out of it. And what's sad is that's what happens a lot of times. Is these guys never see the inside of a courtroom. Just like we were talking about earlier when we were at the vet. That's why we were a little bit behind on this. That, I mean, he had those rape allegations against him that turned into a settlement with somebody. I mean, that doesn't happen for anybody else. Like, that kind of stuff doesn't happen for me. Like, I mean, I'm going to prison. But when you have money, like, money buys everything. Happiness. Whoever says it doesn't is a liar because they don't have money. It buys happiness and it buys freedom. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, whatever justice needs to be served, I certainly hope it happens. But I'm not really holding my breath that it's going to. Because
I just wonder if, like he settled for an undisclosed amount with that person, but that whoever that was still was in there giving testimony, deposition, something for it to even get into a courtroom. So I'm sure just because he settled with her doesn't mean the cops didn't pick that up and run with it.
Yeah, but I just wonder if there's something that in the settlement, there was also provisions made that you can't use anything like this in a criminal case against him. I don't know if that's if that can be done, but with enough money, it can be done. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of that stuff you couldn't use because of this settlement, NDAs, all this other stuff that includes, the DA. I wouldn't be surprised. But whatever he's doing, the shiesty, he needs to go to prison if he is doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like if your name's linked to Epstein in any way, you should probably go to prison anyway. Like, you should have better friends. That's all I'm saying. You should have better friends.
Didn't he hire Ghislaine Maxwell's freaking attorney for the stuff anyway? Like,
sure, I don't
they
know.
even sharing lawyers. I don't know. It's just creepy to me.
Yeah, I mean, anybody associated with him, like, we shouldn't have a presidential candidate, that's tied to him doing this stuff. But I mean, yeah, it wouldn't surprise. I mean, honestly, it would surprise me more if he wasn't doing anything like that. Because I mean, these guys, when they get billions of dollars, what do they got to do?
I just don't. That's disgusting, though.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah, I mean, I think it should be a death sentence. I mean, you shouldn't just get to spend like sex trafficking 20 years in prison and then you just get to get out. Really? Like, even if there wasn't like the death of these of the people that they're selling, I mean, you don't come back from that. I wouldn't think from like a trauma standpoint. Like, you don't ever live a normal life after that point.
Yeah, it stays with you.
Yeah. So I mean, they've ruined these people's lives that they traffic. So yeah, they should be put to death. It's only fair. You ruin their lives, we'll end yours. I mean, that's what I like to see, but I guess 20 years in prison is enough.
It's so ridiculous.
It really is. It really is. But I'll be interested to see if there's any other raids on other people that may be associated with this, because I mean, if he is involved in this, it's not just him. I mean, there's going to be other big names that are going to be involved. But will we see the names? We were supposed to see the Epstein logs. We haven't seen those yet. I have a feeling we're not going to see any of this shit either.
But you know what? When they charge them, that's public record.
Yeah.
Somebody will get a hold of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, let's hope so, because I'd like to see it. But I don't know. That's it. That's all I got to talk about this one. You got anything else to talk about? Oh, P. Diddy, Puffy.
I just saw a timeline of some of the stuff they've said about him. So I didn't take down the whole timeline, but so it started in like the 1990s. I didn't take any of that down, but in 2003, it says, according to a December 2023 lawsuit, Combs, his former Bad Boy Records president, and a third unidentified man allegedly gang raped an unnamed 17-year-old victim at a Manhattan recording studio. So that allegedly happened in 03. Then that Cassie Ventura that was in a relationship with him. So she said in her suit that all aspects of her life were controlled by either Mr. Combs or his management companies. She claims he paid for her apartment and all living expenses, and that he had access to her medical records. For instance, when she began experiencing memory loss, potentially due to excessive drug use or head injuries caused by his beatings, as described, her MRI results were provided directly to Mr. Combs. What? I mean, I can't even believe, like, doctors just turning over medical records to this fool.
Money buys anything.
Jeez.
Isn't she the one that settled?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Also, it says Ventura alleges that in 2012, Combs said he was going to blow up the car of rapper Kid Cudi? I don't know who that is. Who she was dating at the time. And that he wanted to ensure that he was home with his friends when it happened. Around that time, his car exploded in his driveway. So that is nuts. And it said that guy, in a statement to the New York Times, corroborated her account. Let's see. She says in 2018, after multiple attempts to sever ties with him, she says she met with him to have dinner and believed it was to talk of concluding her record contract, and have a discussion about concluding their relationship for good. But after dinner, she alleged he forced himself into her apartment and forcibly raped her. Let's see.
And I've never been involved in something like that, especially, on either side. I don't know how you go from hearing all that to just not saying she was like, just give me some money, but he just threw money at it and it went away. I don't like these. This is criminal shit. Like, this isn't.
That's the thing. Suit. Some things they don't necessarily need a victim to, like sometimes the victim has to press charges on something and they're like, well, if they don't want to press charges, there's nothing we can do. But some stuff, they don't need anybody to press charges. The federal government's going to press charges against him on this if it's sex trafficking. So they don't necessarily need her. Also, like, we're not even sure this fool's going to do any time. So if you're her, if putting his ass in prison for like 2 days ain't going to do anything, he's already put you through all this. Why not take his money and live out the rest of your days?
I'm not saying she did the wrong thing. I'm just wondering how it goes from, there's these criminal, charges, allegations, whatever, to I just pay, I'll just throw some money at it. I wouldn't care if she got all his money. Like, she deserves it. Like, right. He doesn't. But it's just going from that criminal to civil, just that it looks like that. I'm not saying it just kind of looks like that.
It says that after that when she said that he forced himself into the apartment and raped her, the suit says, and these are all quotes from that lawsuit. Soon thereafter, Ms. Ventura took steps to completely separate herself from her longtime abuser, including by leaving the home that he paid for and returning the car he purchased for her. That says a lot. Like, you're really trying to get away from somebody. He's paying for all your stuff, and you're like, deuces? I mean.
No, for sure. I'm not saying anything about her whatsoever. No. I mean, because obviously, if you're giving everything back, you're not just trying to get money out of the guy. I mean, yeah. I mean, it gives you a little bit more, credibility, because we are really good in a justice system about telling women that they're lying or that we don't believe them, or, you did something wrong to make that happen. It's one of the most disgusting things that happens here. So, I mean, it's just sad that it's almost like women have to do those sorts of things to prove that they're not lying. I mean, and then when you're talking about somebody with the kind of money that he has, I mean, what do you do? because he's just gonna.
Right.
I mean, he's got $2,000 an hour attorneys, and you've got, maybe a little bit above a public defender.
Oh, okay. Now this says last month, February 2024, there was a lawsuit filed by producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones, a former producer of Combs who worked with him on his latest release, The Love Album, whatever that is. He alleges that the music mogul groped him repeatedly, and during the duration of making the album, Combs forced Jones to solicit sex workers, take illegal drugs, and more. The suit names others close to Combs, including his son, Justin Dior Combs. So that may be why his ass was sitting out there in handcuffs. I mean,
his middle name's Dior.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They fancy.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to name our next dogs Prada and Gucci.
I wonder what his other son's middle name is. I don't know.
I don't know.
Probably one of those.
Bugatti, something like that. Yeah.
Well.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure she had her reasons, and I'm not discrediting her at all. What I'm saying is I just can't believe he wasn't already arrested and in prison for that stuff. Because I mean, it shouldn't matter who you are. You should have to answer for those types of things. But money buys happiness and freedom, and it buys things to go away. So
it's nuts, man.
And and that's the other thing is seeing men come forward and saying that these things happen to them too. I think that's another big part of this, because I mean, it's dudes don't want to come forward and say that happened to them.
No, they really don't. It's so hard for them.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, if this stuff, because that's the other thing with having money, like you speak out against somebody like that, you better have all the proof and then some, because it's just going to end with you being dragged through the mud. And I mean, if these music producers are working with Diddy and these things happen, and then they come out and say this happened, like if it doesn't get proven, they're done working in an industry. Like you're done. So I mean, that's the other thing is you got to make sure that you don't end your career. There's so many things that goes into it trying to go up against these kind of people.
Yeah, it looks like they have the same kind of setup too at his Miami home, like all those trucks and cars and all out there.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Like you can see their little mobile command station and ooh.
Yeah, you're absolutely right here. I mean, men are already not excited about therapy. So to have something like this happen and then, go talk to somebody, even if they don't come out and say anything about what happened to them, just going to talk to somebody like you, babe, and, kind of just going through the talk therapy part of it. They don't do that either. Whether they come out and say what happened or not, it's just, I mean, I'd imagine it's pretty tough for dudes to talk about that.
It is very, because it's just everything a woman goes through with that added layer of shame that it happened to them as a man.
Yeah.
I mean, they shouldn't feel that way, but inevitably they do.
Yeah.
It says also that a source says, where's it at? Solicitation, that it's in relation to allegations of sex trafficking, sexual assault, and the solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics and firearms. That not good for him.
So they just trafficking everything.
Yeah, it looks like
drugs, guns, and people. Like,
ooh.
I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand how you sell humans, and I don't understand how you find people that will buy them. Like it's not something I can actually grasp. How people do that to one another, whether it's buying or selling. I don't no idea how that kind of stuff happens.
It doesn't make any sense that you could do that. And you know what? Like, maybe it's wrong of me to say this. I don't think so, but especially a black man doing it, like you didn't come from generational trauma of people being sold to other people, and now you're just taking people and selling them to others.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah, because I ain't trying to get sued, but like he knows who we are.
Right,
you know?
yeah, right, yeah. I mean, they were talking to like 2,000 people. It's like, calm down. We're talking like 10.
Yes, like chill out.
But no, yeah, I mean, it's just it is. It's just, I mean, and I guess different countries, I can kind of understand it. Not that it's okay. I can understand how they can sell, especially women, because they don't see them as equal, and they don't see them as anything other than property. Yeah. So in some of these other countries, I mean, I can see how it would happen there a little bit easier. But I'm like, it shouldn't happen here. It shouldn't happen anywhere, but damn sure shouldn't happen in a country that's free and democracy and all that bullshit. You wouldn't think that it would happen here, but it does.
You wouldn't
all
think,
the time.
but
Yeah, everybody everywhere, they all have disgusting tendencies. It's just some are worse than others.
Yeah.
But we're going to continue. Yeah, right. Yeah. We're going to continue to watch this, obviously, and see what happens. Maybe there'll be some more things that come out today or in the next few days. I'd imagine, though, if we didn't hear even a rumor about this happening, I wouldn't imagine that we'll hear much from them until, maybe they have more proof, or maybe we're talking about, there's some, they're filing criminal charges or whatever. That's probably when we'll hear more. But definitely keep an eye on this, because it is interesting. And I think we need to finally start hammering these billionaires that are pieces of shit. That way, I mean, because if you just let these people continue to get away with everything, they're never going to stop. I mean, they're the worst people that are doing this shit. Like, we need to, like, P. Diddy, he needs to go down. Trump needs to go away. I mean, there's plenty of other ones that just need to go on. And if we don't start making examples of somebody, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, like, why is it as a society we're like, if you're a Republican, Trump's fine. Like, we're just going to let go all the legal shit he did because I vote, that way. It's same thing with this guy. Like, you're not going to believe that this rapper did something because he's a rapper. Okay, he can sing. Who gives a shit? That doesn't change that he's a horrible human if he did this. Like, right, yeah. I just don't understand people. They tie such things to people that they're like, no way they could have done that.
Yeah, they got a lot of money. There's no way they could be evil.
Right. It's just crazy.
Shit. It's easier to be evil when you got money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I saw where somebody posted it's a little clip of Tom Brady grinning about something. He like turns around the chair and he's grinning. And somebody said R. Kelly when he sees P. Diddy walk into prison. Like he's going to be so happy when his buddies are there.
Yeah, no shit. I mean.
Oh, my God.
I mean, unless you're Taylor Swift and you're gouging little girls for ticket prices and you make $1 billion in a year, I don't know how you make $1 billion that quickly being a music producer. Because if like everybody should be billionaires then, right?
You would think, right? Yeah. But I guess they have so many other things going on we don't know about, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, like sex trafficking.
Oh. Well, yeah. Okay, smart ass. I meant like clothing lines and stuff like that. But yeah, that as well.
Sure. We'll go with that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing. I mean, everything. Fuck this redacted shit. Unless it's the person that's accusing or that is the victim. Obviously, I don't even like. They should be able to testify. And if they do, it should be a closed session. Like there should be nobody else in the courtroom other than the defendant and the jury. Like we don't need to see that shit. I mean, that's like we do want to know what's going on in trials and everything, but that kind of stuff, sexual abuse, especially, that's me personally, that's too personal. I don't think we need to put that stuff out there.
No.
I'm okay with if it's proven that they did it, saying, hey, this guy and this is all the shit that they did. I mean, yeah, we need to make sure we put that out there so we know who this person is, but not the victims. They don't need to go through that shit. They've lived through enough. They shouldn't have to be on trial in front of the whole world, because that's what they are too. They're on trial because there's going to be plenty of people that's like, oh, that bitch is lying. Okay, yeah, because she wants to put herself through that shit on a witness stand. Sure, we'll go with that.
And I mean, she was with the man forever, so like if she was just making it up, She could have gotten all kinds of money. She could have just stayed with him and kept the money.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah,
went
right.
from him to another rapper who also had money. So, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't,
Yeah, so,
that doesn't really hold a lot of water. But
no.
you know what? Everybody should be thinking a little bit more nicely about Cat Williams now, because everybody was talking about my little man all pissy when he came out saying all this stuff. But it sounds like he got some stuff behind what he's saying.
I mean, because the other thing, if I'm a billionaire and somebody comes out and says some shit like that, and I know it's not true, you're gonna be in a courtroom real quick. Like, I'm gonna defend that shit. I'm gonna make sure everybody knows what you said and that it's not true. So when people, you know, like Cat Williams and other people that are famous and got a following, when they start saying some shit like this, and you don't immediately come out and fucking in that narrative, I'm just saying, there's probably some shit going on that you don't want us to know about.
I tell you what, you say something about me like that, you're gonna get Will Smith in the face. Like on TV. Like just Will Smith right across the damn face. No.
Yeah.
I'd have to say something to that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. MJ, do you have access to Discord? Because some people on our Discord is like, you got a name here and then you got a name there, and I don't know how to connect the two.
Yeah.
Some of you, yeah, but some there's others that I'm not sure. But I mean, if you can't, you can post it out here so we can watch, so you guys can check out that little Rod interview. We don't care. You can share other creators on here. We're not dicks. We're not gonna ban you.
Yeah.
Block you. I'm not trying to do all that. So yeah, because I mean, I'm interested to see what it says.
Yeah. It's crazy because obviously they say he's denied all the charges, but I was also reading that they said there were pictures of, people that were underage that kind of corroborated these stories. So, I mean, come on, bro. Like,
because I don't know, you don't want even anybody to have a thought that some shit's going down that shouldn't be. So, I mean, for him to stand there with a 15-year-old Justin Bieber and be like, we can't tell y'all what's going on in here, but it's a 15-year-old's dream. Like, I'm not, like, I'm not going to say some shit like that. I mean, no.
And why do these people need guardianship over a child to give them a record deal? Like, really?
Well,
why
I think
you need to take him from his mama because of this?
Yeah, I think Dom, you put it in the chat earlier about P. Diddy being too controlling to let stuff happen. I mean, that's why.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, and I mean, it would not shock me in the slightest if we see charges against these guys of not just sex trafficking and rape, but murder, conspiracy to commit murder for hire, all that. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest if we see all that stuff coming. If we see those charges coming, it just wouldn't surprise me. What's going to surprise me if he sees a courtroom? That's really going to surprise me.
Well, it looks like that that guy's lawyer has came out and made a statement. He said, quote, "We can appreciate today's raids by the federal government. However, today's events are not going to prevent nor delay my client's pending and forthcoming actions for justice." I like it.
Good. I think everybody should just continue to sue him and just bleed him completely dry of money.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's one of those things where I do believe in innocent until proven guilty. It's not a real thing in America. That's not how it happens. You're guilty because why would the cops arrest you if you're not guilty? That's the whole thing. But in this instance, like, he's been involved in this kind of stuff for too long that this is where there's smoke, there's fire situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
That's a lot of smoke for that not to be a fire there.
Yeah.
I mean, that is.
It does seem that way. I mean, you don't end up on the wrong end of multiple lawsuits if you aren't doing some shady shit.
Yeah.
I know we'd be in prison. Like, they wouldn't even give us a trial. They're like, well, your name was associated with it, so you're guilty. I mean, we wouldn't stand a chance.
Yeah. Go ahead and get in the car. We're going to take you down.
Right. Not without my attorney, you're not. Nope. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with this Diddy stuff.
Yeah, I'm
You got anything else
interested
to bring
see.
up here, or are we gonna wrap this shit up?
Yeah, I mean, I still don't see if he's been arrested or if they know where he's at. I mean, I think they believe he's in New York, but I
mean,
can't find that he's been arrested yet.
well, if I was him, I could tell you where I wouldn't be. Anywhere that has extradition, that's where I would not be.
I know that's right. I mean, you got that kind of money, and like that house, I think the L.A. home they said was in his daughter's name. So some of that stuff's not even in his name. I mean, you could liquidate that stuff from the Caymans, like, peace out, I'm gone. I'm not going to trial. But I hope they catch his ass.
Yeah, I mean, if he truly is doing this stuff, he needs to go to prison forever. And I mean, like this whole Boeing shit, I know it has nothing to do with P. Diddy, but I mean, you got parts flying off of aircraft, and then all of a sudden, the guy who blew the whistle on this shit ends up from a suicide. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know who it is at Boeing, but somebody murdered that dude to get him to shut up. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. You don't blow the whistle on something like that, then commit suicide. That's not how that works. Yeah, that's something completely different, though.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
We don't need to get into that right here, but I'm with you, Dom. There's some shit going on there too.
For sure.
Well, all right. Well, we were going to record an episode, but we've done this, so that's enough for this week. No.
I mean, you still be sitting on there with trials, won't you?
Oh, correct. And with trials, it's so bad because it's like it starts at 8:00 here, and then like the Arizona trial is like 2 hours behind us. So I'm on from like 8:00 in the morning until like 10:00 at night with these damn trials. So if you don't have anything to do during the day, get on there on the trial so I can chat with you. Because if not, it's boring as hell. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, it does suck because like everybody gets mad if we don't do the trials, but then we do the trials and they're like, there's 10 people on here. Like, I'm gonna try to sit here all day for 10 things.
Look, all right, Princess Kate. I don't know why you're using the royal we here because you ain't been on a single trial.
That's true. Whatever. Okay. I'm working.
So,
I'm doing stuff.
I know. Not on Mondays. Anyway, thank you. Appreciate that, MJ. I wasn't even going to talk about this shit, but Discord blew up and they were just like, you need to talk about it. So, but all right. We'll be back when we have more to talk about.
Yep.
See. And then you show up just, hey, glad to see you. Haven't seen some of these people in a while. But yeah, MJ, I'll send you a message. You should have the link to Discord, but if not, I'll send it to you so you can hop on there. So you can share all your posts about other creators instead of us, which is cool. Whatever. But no, I'll send the link. I'll put the link out on the members only here on YouTube. That way you guys make sure you have it. And if you don't, email me crimeontherecord@gmail.com, and we'll get everything all sorted. So until next time, guys. See you.